Hi, my name is Luis Peña Alvarez with Sanctuary Cinema, co-founder. I'm here today with Tunde Skovrán from Who I Am Not. And yeah, just give us a sort of background of who you are, Tunde, and what you're involved with on Who I Am Not.
Hi, my name is Tünde Skovrán. I directed Who I Am Not. It was my debut feature-length documentary. I am originally from Romania. I was trained as an actor. I worked quite a lot in front of the camera. And like 15 years ago, I moved from Romania to Los Angeles. And I slowly but surely transitioned into the behind the camera section of filmmaking. So yes, it's been a long journey. We started the whole process of making this film back in 2018, and it took us 6 years to finish it. We had our premiere here in the United States at South by Southwest in 2023. And ever since, the film went to about 80 or more festivals around the world and won, I don't know, 22 awards. So it was a beautiful journey, a greatly rewarded work. Um, yeah, so about me, I am very much drawn into to stories and projects that somehow talk about the oneness, the stories that create some bridge in between um, divisions. And Who I Am Not grew out from a previous work that I started. Basically, I ended up in South Africa because I got very curious about a African athlete whose gender was questioned many times in different settings. Um, I'm talking about Caster Semenya, a world and Olympic champion athlete. So I was in South Africa in the period of time when she appealed the International Athletics Federation, uh, and in this period of time, I met Sharon Rose Kumalo, the lead character of Who I Am Not. We became slowly friends, and then she introduced me later to Dimakatso, who became our other lead uh, hero in this film. It's been a very slow process of getting their trust and making them understand why this film is important for to tell and for the world. Back in those days, I personally haven't seen any artistically and beautifully made documentary on this topic. Um, Even within the LGBTQIA plus context, I feel that the I was the acronym. The I was like a murky, very unknown territory, even for the community. So I thought it is very important to talk about not only the identity aspects of bridging male and female, but also the biological scientific aspects as well, because I think many people can understand how colorful and how complex we are made if we pinpoint these aspects of the human nature, and not only human, the nature in general. So yes, we started. As I mentioned before, I have an acting background, and I obviously my acting is informing how I approached directing. And I realized that for this trust building process, I can very well use those exercises that I learned back in college. Um, so the entire crew was somehow involved in this process. We did all kinds of trust exercises. We involved at one point therapists and dream interpreters in our work, because there was a long period when during the COVID I couldn't go to South Africa. So in this time I wanted to keep them engaged and curious. So we worked online quite a lot with different specialists, with the guidance of them. And for when I had the opportunity to go to South Africa, I always try to create an environment where they feel very comfortable and they had the say who can come in their world. So, for instance, if I brought a team from Europe, cinematographers or sound people, I always wanted to make sure that first we, the crew, open up for them and become equally vulnerable in front of them, answer them the questions they had, to ease them up. It was a very important process for me to make sure that Sharon and Dimakats and everybody who is involved in the film has this uses the filmmaking process as a shield in front of their family. So they were already on a journey to figure out what had happened to them in the past, right? And I wanted this filmmaking process to be a frame for them to be able to sit down with their family members and finally ask those questions they were always afraid to ask, or their community. For instance, with Sharon, we on in very early stage, we revisited all the locations or the important locations of her life, from the hospital she was born at to the bench where she had her first kiss, uh, you know, and we filmed all these locations. It was not necessarily like, it was just for sensorial, to connect with her own story sensorially, again. And we filmed these locations, and there was one exercise that we did, where we set her in a studio and we projected all these videos on her body. So if someone sees the poster of Who I Am Not, will see one of these stills is from this exercise. So we projected all these meaningful locations to her body, old photographs, etc., etc. And I encouraged her to start telling me her story as she would recount, or reconnect with the past in the present tense. So I'm 5 years old and I'm here, and while all these locations are on her skin, all the picture of the grandmother is on her skin, so she can understand that who she is very much determined by these places, by the environment, etc. So this is an example of the process. And of course, this is not necessarily in the film, but it was very important for us to get where I wanted them to be. But there are exercises that ended up in the film. For instance, when in the bathroom scene, when Sharon submerges in this white liquid, that was an exercise that we did in regards to, like, I asked her, what do you think, what is the most feminine matter possible? And then she was like, it's milk. So then we submerged her in milk, and then this was also part of a big conversation. And then the visuals ended up somehow in the film. So all this pretty things that people would think, oh, this is for the purpose of making the film more visual. It was not really, because they are somehow the results of different experiments and exercises that we did together.
Right. And oh, go ahead.
Yes,
No,
go
no,
for it.
I was going to say, with sanctuary cinema, we always talk about narrative sovereignty, and that is in itself, I'm sure you're aware of it, a reclamation of their own stories. And it sounds like they were very much involved with how you told that story, and how they were even involved in a structural sense of who crew was and how they came in. And so the reclaiming narrative of who they were, or who they are now, after that sort of um, declaration, I guess. It seems like they all had different ways of declaring who they were in those moments. But I think it's important to, like you said, like for intersex communities, exploring who they are in their bodies, their experiences, and often being pathologized, or hidden or spoken for by doctors or families, or even the state. Do you think there's like a sort of responsibility? Maybe you can speak to this as somebody who maybe doesn't identify as an intersex, but what's our sort of responsibility as non-intersex audiences and community members to listen maybe just a little differently than we maybe are used to, in a sort of hetero normalized sort of uh, fashion that we have been indoctrinated with. Is there anything that you sort of found that made you listen to them better, made you maybe change certain things in how you worked with them?
Yes, obviously, it's I changed my perspective on how I see the world,
Mhm.
not only this topic, because everything we easily have an answer, yes or no, for everything. This is how we are raised. But ever since I made this documentary, I realized that the truth is always in between nuances. It is always somewhere in between. Uh, it's never or a yes and no. It's never black and white in anything. And of course, this is what it sounds like, um, a very basic thing to say. But when you experience a process like this, you read like you start becoming very analytical in with everything, with the basic truth that you accept as a child from your parents. For I mean, I don't want to give very specific examples for it, but it is relevant for political, um, for everything that creates biases. Um, I did change, but I also experienced how much the audience had changed. So the film was screened in many countries that are not like, I was nervous. I was nervous how it will be received, um, and and we had audiences that were clearly not, because the film didn't only screen at LGBTQIA festivals. It went everywhere, and sometimes we had naysayers in the audience, and at the end of, like, I could feel the tension in the room, and by the end of the screening, I've seen those tears in their eyes, and I was like, the Q&As never ended. So it definitely stirred a conversation that hasn't been taking place before, and specifically from the scientific aspect, because many times in the audience there were doctors, who had a very specific idea of how intersex is genetic mutation, and and having, like, these people usually don't see the psychological aspect of or the identity aspect of this thing. So it was a very nice platform to see people combine these two, the scientific matters, or the theoretical matters, with the emotional ones as well. So I think it I don't know if we changed a lot of minds, but definitely we made a lot of people think.
Right. You brought it sounds like it brought a lot more empathy to the matter rather than conclusions on their stories or anything. It sounds like it's ever evolving, right? They're actual human beings who will evolve into nuances, as you mentioned, um, within their own story. And I think at the end of the day, they know who they are. And I think regardless of who we, as people or as society, think certain things are, I think from what I'm gathering, it seems like there will be a lot of, as you said, naysayers and people who will contradict what has been put to screen. But the power of storytelling through filmmaking, it seems like at least allows for a good funneling of um, empathy. Um, and one thing that we in sanctuary cinema have used is films like Who I Am Not to just funnel conversation, and that not necessarily anything is right or wrong, but that the conversation opens up those nuances and it allows the audience to talk to one another. The people who are working in those fields, we bring them on to talk to our audiences who maybe know something or maybe don't know anything. And so for you, for working with Sharon Rose and Dimakatso for 6 years, as you mentioned, um, that trust, it seemed like you had to sort of build and build and build. But what did people within their communities say back to you? Did they have anything that they they realized back to you, or maybe they realized through Sharon Rose and Dimakatso that was eye-opening, or just a little thing that was really
I think
eye-popping?
Sharon's, I mean, it's been a long time since we started working, and of course a lot has changed. So first of all, I have to mention that 1 year ago we lost Dimakatsu. Dimakatsu has passed in a heart attack, which was completely devastating, and I'm still trying to really process it, because it's almost unbelievable still. But so it was unrelated to the intersex condition. Dimakatsu's mother also died at the same age, and their sister Debu shortly after the Makatsu has passed, they will also place a character in the film. Debu passed as well. So, so we had it's it's really difficult to understand it, but Sharon's life has changed a lot. Um, Sharon's family didn't participate in the filmmaking process. Um, that's one of the reasons she's portrayed in the film so alone and so differently than Demakatsu. And I want to mention two things. Like when we had our premiere in Johannesburg, um, the the people from Demakatsu's township came. The room was filled with people from that area, from that little township, and I was so nervous. I was dying in the cinema. I just couldn't. I didn't know how they are going to receive the film. And at the end of the screening, everybody stood up and they started singing, chanting Dimakatsu's name, and started dancing. And the cinema was in a mall, like in a huge mall in Johannesburg. So it was not really a usual thing to see such a thing there, but they embraced and finally understood Dimakatsu in such a level and with so much love that I have, like, only for that moment it was worth for me to make this film. And Sharon's parents saw the film as well on screening in South Africa, and I think it was a very important realization for them, um, that you know they are very religious. They have the completely different take on the Sharon being intersex, but seeing the film and looking at her life from a different angle gave them a possibility to understand her better. I think Sharon has blossomed. She is working in a big pharma company. She's a brand manager now, traveling the world. Of course, both Dimakatsu and Sharon came to different screenings that we had in Europe, and that was Dimakatsu. No, actually, it wasn't for Dimakatsu, but they somehow it opened up the world for them, and ever since we are like in December. Actually, I spent my Christmas with Sharon in Egypt. This winter we went with my two cinematographers and Sharon for a vacation. So we are still very very close, and we are trying to meet up somewhere in the world, and it's beautiful to see how she's flying, because I think that burden, um this heaviness that she had, that she couldn't speak her truth to the world up until we made the film, was taking a big toll on her. And today it's like, I'm intersex and I'm beautiful. So she's she's very outspoken, and very very she treats herself now with humor and enjoys life, and I love that.
That's so beautiful, and yeah, we hope to honor Dimakatsu's uh, life when we're screening this because yeah, we weren't aware of that, and that's it's really tragic to hear, but also beautiful that it's prospered a friendship, and it sounds like a bond for life. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being so forthcoming with that. Uh, I I do want to round up our interview, and thank you so much for making the time. We really appreciate it. But our sort of closing question is, and we always ask this for our panelists when we have our screenings. But is there like a small practice or maybe a small call to action that would help us from witnessing these stories, like in Who I Am Not, from participatory to more reciprocal, community-rooted futures for intersex people? It maybe sounds like something that you're continuously doing. You're trying to be active in a sense of not just being a storyteller, but also a community member for people in the intersex community, because they, like you mentioned, they are underrepresented. And even within the queer community, it sounds like they don't have all the representation, and there's not a clarification on where they stand with the community. But is there anything that you have learned, maybe that allows other people to come and help people in their intersex community?
Uh, what a broad question. So we okay, first of all, I want to mention that the Makatsu had a dream. And that dream was to create a summer camp for intersex children, or in general, for LGBTQIA plus children in South Africa. And I didn't forget that. So I am trying to still create that with the help of other activists as well. There is so much someone can do. There are organizations, there are conversations. You if I mean you if you really want to do something for the community, there are lots of avenues. If you don't, if you have nothing to do with this topic, maybe just be curious and ask questions. There are 150 million intersex people living on our planet. That means there are more people with an intersex variation than people with green eyes or red hair. It's a lot of people, and being intersex can come in different variations and in different shapes and forms. So sometimes, and but the like Sharon and Dimakatsu's case, or it's just an example. But not long ago, maybe like a month ago, I was on a party with some people, and I talked about the film, and a person came to me and said, like, no, my child was born without an ovary, no, yes, without ovaries, and we don't really know what to do. The doctors, because we know at one point we as people, as parents, we have to decide to give hormone replacement therapy to our own child or not. We don't know who to talk to, because doctors obviously are suggesting us that if the child has female genitalia, we have to help that body to become to develop female secondary sexual characteristics. What can we do? And I'm like, well, every country has an organization. Your child is not alone. Like, you can reach out to this and that and that and that. And I was able to help connect this parent with some other people. But what if a conversation like this occurs, you can if you know if you even saw the film, you can suggest that person to watch the film, because mostly the biggest problem, I think, is that someone who is struggling with similar issues as Sharon and Dibakatsu is alone. There is a huge loneliness that comes with that, especially in countries where it's still a huge taboo. So if a person like this can see this film, or can know that there are other peoples like her, him, them, it's their perspective, they hope will rise, and they will understand, that there are possibilities to connect, to speak with others, to understand themselves within a community and not only isolated. So this is what a person can do. I think that's the simplest thing to do, to just talk and communicate and embrace people who might struggle.
Yeah. Thank you for that. It all starts with one small different action, right? And so the tangible piece for a lot of people, is like not trying to have the answers, but just trying to start something, just
Yeah,
trying to be,
absolutely.
yeah, right. Trying
Start
to
it,
be
and others.
intentional. Go ahead.
Yes. No, that's it. I just wanted to acknowledge what you're saying. It's like you just have to make one step, and the next step is coming after that.
Right. Yeah. It's intentionality. That's the intent for, I think, any storyteller, any artist is one thing after the other. And we're running out of time here, but any sort of thing that you want to say to our audience as they go and watch this film on Thursday?
Watch it with open heart, and find the humor in the film. And it's a heavy topic, but it's told with love, and just open up your heart.